What if God knocked on your door tonight? Would you be ready? There was once a great landowner who built a vast estate on the edge of a quiet valley. His house stood higher than all others, not to show power, but so its light could be seen from miles away. Before leaving on a long journey, the landowner called his servants together. His voice was calm, but carried weight. "I will return," he said, "but I will not tell you when." Some servants nodded respectfully, others exchanged glances. A few smiled, thinking the journey would be long. He entrusted each of them with responsibilities. Some to care for the fields, some to manage the household, and others to watch the gates. Then he left. At first everything remained as it should be. The lamps were lit on time, the gates were watched, the house was clean and ready. But days passed, then weeks, then months, and slowly something changed. A servant named Eli began to whisper, "The master delays. Surely he won't return soon." Another laughed, "Why live in constant readiness? Let us enjoy what we have." And so they did. The fields were neglected, the lamps grew dim, the gates were left unwatched. Laughter filled the halls, but it was not the laughter of peace. It was the laughter of forgetfulness. But among them was one servant named Micah. Micah was not stronger than the others. He was not wealthier. He had no authority over them. But he remembered. Every morning before the sun rose, Micah walked through the house. He lit the lamps. He checked the doors. He prepared the table. Even when others mocked him. "Why do you keep working?" they asked. "The master is not coming back today." Micah would simply reply, "Perhaps not, but he will return." They laughed louder. One evening, as the sky turned a deep shade of crimson, a storm began to rise. Winds howled across the valley, and thunder shook the ground. The careless servants grew uneasy. "Secure the gates," someone shouted, but no one had checked them in days. The lamps flickered. Many had already gone out. Confusion spread, and then a knock. Not loud, but undeniable. 3 steady knocks. The room froze. "Who would come in a storm like this?" one whispered. Another said nervously, "Could it be?" Panic erupted. "Quick, clean the house. Light the lamps. Prepare the table." But their hands trembled, and nothing was ready. In the midst of the chaos, Micah walked calmly to the door. His heart beat fast, but not from fear, from recognition. He opened the door, and there stood the master. Rain fell behind him, but he remained untouched, as if the storm itself knew who he was. His eyes moved through the room. He saw the dim lamps, the broken order, the unprepared servants. But then his gaze rested on Micah, the one who had remained faithful. The one who lived as if the master would return at any moment. The master stepped inside. Silence filled the house. No one spoke. No one needed to. Because in that moment, truth stood among them. The master walked past the others and stood before Micah. "Well done," he said softly. Not loudly, not dramatically, but with a weight that made the room feel still. Then he turned to the others. "You did not lose your duties in a moment," he said. "You lost them little by little when you stopped expecting me." Their heads fell because they knew it was true. It wasn't the storm that exposed them. It was their forgetfulness. And so the master restored order to the house, but not all servants remained in their positions. Some had proven faithful. Others had revealed their hearts. And from that day forward, The story of Micah spread across the valley, not as a tale of perfection, but as a reminder that faithfulness is not about being seen. It is about being ready, even when no one is watching, even when it feels like nothing is happening, even when others forget. Because the Master always returns, and when he does, he finds not what we intended, but what we became. If this parable speaks to you, remember this simple truth. Live each day as if it matters, because it does. Stay faithful in the small things. Stay ready in the unseen moments. And when the time comes, the story did not end there. Because something unexpected began to unfold in the days that followed. The servants who had once laughed the loudest now spoke the least. The halls that were once filled with careless noise were now filled with a quiet awareness, a kind of awakening. Not fear alone, no, something deeper. Conviction. The Master did not shout. He did not humiliate them. And strangely, that made everything heavier. Because when truth is spoken gently, it echoes louder in the heart. Micah continued his work as he always had. Nothing about him changed. He did not become proud. He did not remind others of their failure. He simply remained faithful. And that, more than anything, began to affect the others. One servant, Eli, the same one who once mocked, began to watch Micah closely, at first from a distance, then with curiosity, and finally with something he hadn't felt in a long time. Conviction mixed with hope. One morning before the sun rose, Eli found Micah lighting the lamps. The soft glow spread across the room, pushing back the darkness. Eli stood there silently for a moment, then spoke. "Why didn't you stop?" Micah paused, not surprised by the question. "Stop what?" "Believing, preparing, expecting him to return." Micah looked at him, not with judgment, but with understanding. "Because I wasn't preparing for a moment," he said quietly. "I was living for the Master." Eli lowered his eyes. "That's what I lost," he whispered. And in that moment, something changed. Not just in Eli, but in the house. Because faithfulness is contagious. One by one, the servants began to return to their duties. Not out of pressure, not out of fear of punishment, but because they had seen what true faithfulness looked like. And they realized something powerful. The difference between Micah and the rest was not ability. It was consistency. It was devotion in the ordinary. It was choosing discipline when no one was watching. Days turned into weeks again. But this time, something was different. The lamps stayed lit. The gates stayed guarded. The house felt alive again. Not just functioning, but aligned. And one evening, as the Master walked through the estate, he noticed something. Not perfection, but transformation. And here's the surprising truth. The Master didn't just reward Micah. He restored the others. Because while faithfulness is honored, repentance is welcomed. Listen, this part matters more than you think. Because many people believe, once they fall short, it's over. That they've missed their moment. That they're no longer worthy. But this story reveals something shocking. The door is still open. As long as the Master has returned, and you are still standing, there is still time to change. Still time to become faithful. Still time to live ready, but not forever. Because here's the deeper truth. The Master returned once, But he will return again, and the second time will not be like the first. There will be no warning, no storm to signal it, no time to fix what was ignored, only truth. And in that moment, every hidden choice, every delayed decision, every quiet compromise will be revealed. So ask yourself honestly, not tomorrow, not later, right now. If the master stood at your door tonight, would you be ready? Or would you be rushing to fix what should have been lived? Because readiness is not built in urgency. It is built in daily surrender, daily faith, daily obedience. And listen, I'm serious when I say this. The world will always tell you to relax, to wait, to enjoy now and fix things later. But later is not promised. And the greatest mistake people make is assuming they have more time. Micah didn't know the day. He didn't know the hour, but he knew the truth, and that was enough. So he lived ready every day, not perfectly, but faithfully. And that is the life that the Master honors. So wherever you are right now, whatever your story looks like, whether you feel like Micah or like Eli, hear this clearly. It's not too late. You can choose faithfulness today. You can start again, right now. Light the lamp. Open the door. Prepare your heart. Because the Master is not distant. He is not unaware. And he is not delayed. He is coming. And when he does, may he find you, ready, not rushing, not hiding, not regretting, but standing in quiet confidence. Faithful. Now listen before you go. If this story stirred something inside you, don't ignore it. Let it move you. Let it change you. And share it. Because someone out there right now is exactly where Eli was. Distracted, delayed. The house in that parable, it's not some distant place. It's today's world. It's your home, your phone, your daily routine, your quiet thoughts when no one else is watching. And the servants? That's us. All of us. Because if we're honest, something very similar is happening right now. We live in a time where distractions are louder than ever. Your attention is constantly pulled. Notifications, endless scrolling, entertainment that never ends. Voices telling you to relax, delay, and live only for the moment. And slowly, without even realizing it, people are drifting. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but quietly, just like those servants. Faith is no longer something many people live daily. It becomes something occasional, something postponed, something we say we'll come back to later. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Later has become the most dangerous word of this generation, because later turns into someday, and someday often turns into never. Look around today. People are busy, but not fulfilled. Connected, but not truly at peace. Chasing success, but feeling empty inside. Why? Because many have stopped living with purpose and started living on autopilot. Just like the careless servants. They didn't wake up one day and decide to abandon their responsibilities. They simply stopped paying attention, stopped being intentional, stopped being ready. And that's exactly how it happens today. Not with a loud rebellion, but with quiet neglect. Skipping prayer just once, ignoring conviction just once, choosing comfort over discipline just once. But those just once moments begin to build a pattern. And before you know it, the lamps start going out. Your spiritual life begins to dim. Your sensitivity to truth weakens. And suddenly you feel far from God without even knowing how you got there. Now listen, this is important. The world today celebrates comfort. Do what feels good. Take it easy. You have time. But the parable teaches the opposite truth. Comfort without purpose leads to carelessness, and carelessness leads to regret. Because here's the shocking part. Nothing in today's world guarantees tomorrow. We plan years ahead, but we're not promised the next moment. Just like in the story, the master returns unexpectedly. And in today's world, that return can mean many things. It can be a life-changing moment, a sudden realization, or even the end of life itself. And when that moment comes, it doesn't matter what we plan to do. It matters what we were already living. Now think about this honestly. If someone watched your life today, not your words, but your actions, would they see a faithful servant or a distracted one? Would they see someone spiritually awake or someone slowly drifting? Because being busy is not the same as being ready. You can have a full schedule and still be empty inside. You can look successful on the outside and still be unprepared where it truly matters. That's the reality of today's world. Now here's the hope, and this is powerful. Just like Eli in the story, people can change. Right now, not tomorrow, not after everything is perfect, but in this moment. You don't need a dramatic event to wake up. You just need awareness. You just need to decide, I will not drift anymore. I will live intentionally. I will stay ready. Because the faithful servant in today's world is not the one who is perfect. It's the one who stays consistent, who chooses faith even when it's unpopular, who chooses discipline in a world full of distraction, who chooses God daily, even in small moments, even when no one sees. And listen, I'm serious when I say this. That kind of life stands out more than ever today. Because in a world full of noise, faithfulness is rare. In a world full of shortcuts, integrity is powerful. In a world chasing everything, the one who stays rooted wins. So this isn't just a message, it's a wake-up call. A reminder, a chance to realign. Because the question is not if the moment will come. The question is, will you be ready when it does? So start today, not with pressure, but with purpose. Light your lamp again. Reconnect with God. Be intentional with your time. Guard your focus. And live like your life truly matters. Because it does. And before you move on, let this stay with you. The world may reward comfort, but God honors faithfulness. So choose wisely, because one day, just like in the parable, everything hidden will become clear. And when that moment comes, may your life tell a story of readiness, not regret, forgetting what truly matters. And this message might be the moment that brings them back. So take a second. Like this video, subscribe to Parables of Hope, and be part of a growing light in a world that needs truth. Your support means more than you think. Every like, every share, every subscription helps these stories reach hearts across the world. And honestly, we need your support to keep creating content that inspires, uplifts, and brings people closer to God. Go back and watch our previous videos on parables of hope. Let these messages build your faith, strengthen your spirit, and remind you that you are never alone in this journey. And as you leave this moment, carry this truth with you. Faithfulness is not about being seen. It's about being ready, even in the silence, even in the waiting, even when no one else understands. Stay faithful, stay watchful, stay ready, because the next knock might not give you time to prepare. And when it comes, may your heart already be there, at peace, in purpose, and ready to hear, "Well done."